Okay, let's talk about a book that pretty much everyone has heard of. Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. It's known as the Bible of modern economics, right? But if you think it's just a book about free markets, you're missing the real story. And trust me, it's a much more fascinating one that starts not with money, but with morality.
And this is the quote. This is Adam Smith 101. It paints this picture of him as the ultimate champion of self-interest. The message feels pretty simple, doesn't it? Society works best when we all just look out for ourselves. It's a really powerful idea, and for hundreds of years, it's been the most common and, let's be honest, the most convenient version of his story. Yeah, but is that the whole story? Not even close. If we stop there, we miss the entire point of his argument. To find the real Adam Smith, we have to look past the economist and see the moral philosopher who's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
See, Smith wasn't just asking, hey, how do we all get rich? No, he was wrestling with these much bigger, older questions. Questions like, what actually makes a life good? How can a government be just? And the big one, how can a society full of free, self-interested individuals ever create something good for everyone? His answer would literally change the world.
So everyone knows The Wealth of Nations, published in 1776. But check this out. 17 years before that, in 1759, Smith published another masterpiece, The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And this wasn't some minor side project, okay? This was a huge work of moral philosophy, and it's the absolute key to unlocking everything that came later.
And that's the whole thing, right there. You simply cannot understand his economics if you ignore his ethics. The Wealth of Nations isn't a blueprint for a system of cold, hard transactions. It's a vision for a moral society, and it's built completely on the ethical groundwork he'd already laid. So, how did he pull it off?
To really get what Smith was up to, you have to understand the huge philosophical fight he was stepping into. For thousands of years, thinkers had been arguing about what a state is even for, and by his time, two totally different ideas were on the table.
On one side, you had the ancients, Plato and Aristotle. For them, the state was a moral project. Its job was to make good, virtuous citizens who could live the good life. But then, you had the moderns, like Locke, who said, whoa, hold on, the state's job isn't to make us good people, it's to provide security, to stop everything from falling into chaos and to protect our stuff. It was a security contract, not a moral club. And Smith's great challenge was to somehow bring these two worlds together.
And his solution was, well, it was genius. He didn't invent some new kind of government. He proposed a self-regulating system, the market. But this was not the dog-eat-dog law of the jungle we so often hear about. No, his marketplace was built on something way more profound.
The whole system, the whole thing, hangs on this one powerful idea from his first book, sympathy. For Smith, sympathy, and you can think of it as empathy, really, is the bedrock of all morality. It's our natural human ability to imagine ourselves in someone else's situation. It's this deep desire we have for others to approve of us and our fear of their disapproval that guides us to act decently. This social, moral person is who Smith put at the very heart of his economic system.
So here's how the engine runs. First, you start with people who are guided by sympathy and want to be seen as good people. Then, these individuals go out and work to better their own lives. When everybody does this, it creates this amazing self-regulating order, the market. And the result? The public good is achieved. Widespread wealth and benefit are created, not because anyone planned it that way, but as a kind of beautiful, unintended side effect of free, moral people doing their thing.
So when you put all of these pieces back together, you realize that, for Smith, creating national wealth wasn't just about economics, it was a moral project. It was his modern answer to that ancient question: how do we build a good society for free people?
So what we're left with is a completely new portrait of this book. The Wealth of Nations isn't just an economics textbook. It's this incredible synthesis of an ethical belief that we're both self-interested and empathetic, a political idea that the state serves a practical but moral purpose, and a philosophical goal where wealth isn't the end, it's the means to a good society.
And that famous invisible hand? Well, it's not some spooky, magical force that just turns greed into gold. For Adam Smith, the invisible hand only works because it's attached to a moral person, someone guided by sympathy and a basic sense of decency. The ethics have to be there first. The economics are just what follows.
And that leaves us with a really big, really important question for today. Smith built his entire system on an ethical foundation he believed was just part of being human. He took for granted that society was made of empathetic, socially aware people. So we have to ask ourselves, if his market absolutely required that moral foundation to work, what's the foundation of our market today? And is it strong enough?